afternoon to you all. I am the Chief Architect at Toyo and Associates Architects, and I was the person in charge for the CapitaGreen project. I will be presenting to you all today on behalf of Toyo. Singapore used to be covered by deep forests. It was replaced by modern buildings after the rapid urbanization. We intended to reproduce the forest by means of new architecture and make it a new symbol for 21st century Singapore by reconsidering the relationship between architecture and nature. This is Toyo's concept sketch. Singapore was once a sumptuous forest. I wish to resurrect this forest by means of new architecture. My aim is to create architecture that breathes like a living organism. CapitaGreen is a piece of architecture that is like a plant growing towards the sky. This forms the basis of design for CapitaGreen. This is a distant view of the CapitaGreen. This image describes the building's spatial composition. At the intermediate floors, there are several public spaces where medium and low shrubs and trees are installed. Plantation is also installed over the facade, and it unites the upper floors with the ground. The facade greenery rises toward the sky, and on the top of the building, it creates a forest where gigantic red flower acts as a symbol of breathing architecture. The facade symbolizes lush greenery that once covered the earth of Singapore. It rises toward the sky and reunites with the urban space. There are two types of facade for CapitaGreen. There is the urban facade that consists of glass double skin and the green facade that provides plantation. The green facade seems to take over the urban facade and slowly rise above in a spiral. The green facade takes up approximately 55% of the building perimeter. We named this facade permeable layered skin. It's unlike typical double skin facade system seen in rather colder climate, but it is an optimized facade system for the tropical climate, such as in Singapore. The green facade acts not only as a shading device that reduces the heat gain indoors, but also softly diffuses the strong sunlight towards the interiors. The urban facade also protects the building from overheating by means of the outer layer of glass, and yet at the same time allows clear views out to the surrounding streetscape. This is an actual photo of the permeable layered skin. On the left is the green facade, and on the right is the urban facade. This is a recent view of the greenery at the green facade. The plantation provides more than just visual impact for the building's outlook. It also allows the office interiors to benefit from the comfortable feeling as if one is close to the ground. Workers enjoy natural breeze and greenery, besides staying in the office environment that is mechanically controlled. Now, I am going to introduce the sky forest placed at the top of the building. There are approximately 40 plant species being planted here. Since the plants were planted not so long ago, the trees are at most 5 meters tall currently. But we anticipate the trees to reach over 10 meters of height after a few years, forming a real forest at 200 meters above amidst the sky. The sky forest at 200 meters above the ground presents a revived nature by means of architecture. A blossoming red flower is a symbol of breathing architecture. It captures fresh air into the building. We aimed to create architecture that breathes like a living organism. A tree in the natural world carries water as a medium via its roots all the way to the leaves, where nutrients are made by photosynthesis. CapitaGreen captures cool air from the rooftop as a medium and feeds it throughout the whole building to lower energy consumption. Let me explain more specifically. There is approximately 2-degree temperature difference between the air on ground level and the air 200 meters above ground. We utilize this temperature difference. Furthermore, the air at the sky forest is cleansed by the plantation before it enters the system. As there is a prevailing wind that always happens in Singapore, the unique flower form of the wind catcher optimizes the amount of cool air captured at the sky forest. After the wind is being captured by the flower, it pulls the air from the sky forest all the way down to the office floors below. This is the actual detected results of the system's performance, taken shortly after the building's completion. It's evident that the proposed mechanism performs effectively, achieving maximum 5-degree temperature difference overall. Furthermore, the air supplied appears to have half of NOx content compared to air on the ground level, thus providing much cleaner and fresher air. Overall, energy saving of CapitaGreen is up to approximately 30% based on energy consumption difference in Singapore. This achieves the most efficient rating in the Singaporean green building evolution system. At the covered plaza on the first floor, we have an artwork by the artist Olafur Eliasson named Above, Below, Beneath, Above. Olafur's artwork resembles aerial roots of tropical plants, which responds to our design concept. There are these glowing purple polyhedrons that scatter among these roots, which symbolizes matter that embodies energy of living organisms. People enjoy their time in their own way among the artwork in the public open space. Inspired by the artwork, we chose natural materials that remind us of nature. This is a 15 meters core wall in the main entrance lobby, which is a featured wall seen when people first enter the building. The featured wall was finished with Singaporean soil by Japanese plastering master. Over a span of 60 days, approximately 20 plastering technicians carefully finished 900 square meters of wall. When it's seen up close, the materiality is not something like you could find in factory-made finishes, giving the wall a great material presence. We created breathing architecture that acts like a living organism that integrates with the natural and urban environment. Our challenge was to create a modern city typology of a high-rise building and at the same time try to revive the close-knit relationship between people, nature, and the city. We sincerely hope that CapitaGreen can become a stepping stone for people to recall the powers of nature and to realize the ideal symbiotic relationship between people and nature.
Hi, Takeuchi-san has shared on the concept of the building. I will now share a bit on the developer's perspective of the project. Singapore is located on the equator, just 1 degree north of it, and has a hot, wet climate that is lush greenery and perpetual summer. A bit on the site. This site is in the historical business district of Singapore. In 1964, it became the site for the first multi-story car park in Singapore. In the 1970s and 80s, office buildings were built around this area as the city grew. However, in recent years, the new office buildings have been moving to the new downtown, and we felt that there was a need to rejuvenate this older office district in the city. In 2010, the authorities granted us permission to convert the car park to an office tower, and today we are happy to have brought a breath of fresh air and a new vigor to the older district in the city. This is the plan showing the location of the site. As you can see, it is located between the central business district and the new downtown. 3D model showing the site. How do you place this? Showing this. Okay, this is the site, and the new downtown is over there. Chinatown is around here. The older office district is all the smaller buildings with lower buildings, and the prime office district is Raffles Place is just over there. The site area is 5,478 square meters with an allowable height of 245 meters. Based on leasing feedback from our Grade A office tenants, our design brief to the architect was to have an office with a floor plate of net lettable area of at least 20,000 square feet. Tenants also prefer a floor plate which is regular, orthogonal in shape, for more efficient space usage. And of course, we wanted to build to the maximum height. This is the ground floor plan. The corners of the site the buildings are set back from the corners of the site so that we can create some public space at the main pedestrian approach to the building. There is a covered walkway all around the site to protect pedestrians from the hot and rainy tropical weather of our city. Similarly, a sheltered drop-off is provided at Market Street. The covered plaza is a 15-meter high space of about 500 square meters, and it helps to create a frontage of the office facing towards Raffles Place, which is the address that we want to associate ourselves with. A section of the tower, it shows, besides the office space, we have cafes on the ground level, a gym on the 38th level, and a restaurant on the 40th level. Sky terraces are provided in order to stretch the building so that we can maximize the height. And in Singapore, there are a lot of incentives to encourage skyrise greenery, one of which is if you have mechanical spaces within the top 3 stories and you cover it with greenery instead of exposing all the services, you do get sort of GFA exemption for the mechanical rooms. This slide shows the floor plates how it varies as it moves up the building. On the lower levels, on the 3rd and 4th story, it covers the covered plaza to provide 2 super big floor plates of about 25,000 square feet. In the sky, garden and sky terrace areas, the floor plate shrink a bit, but each floor still has about 1,002 square meters per floor. And on the top, we have a gym and a restaurant next to the Sky Forest. The typical floor has a net lettable area of about 22,000 square feet, which is what we want. It has a core to window depth of between 13 to 16 meters, with a small area of about 10 meters. This is a good depth for tenants in Singapore. Columns are placed right at the edge of the floor plate so as to minimize its intrusion into the space, and we create columns-free space as a result, and which is very usable and friendly for the tenants to lay out. It has a floor-to-floor height of 4.8 meters, allowing us to get a 3.2 meter floor-to-ceiling height, which is the highest floor-to-ceiling height at the moment in the CBD. The design started in the late 2008, 2008, but it was interrupted by the financial crisis, and we reactivated the design process towards the end of 2010. By the middle of 2011, the demolition of the old car park was commenced. In August 2011, we brought in some design and build contractors to get their input on the engineering design and construction proposals in a process which we call an early contractor involvement process, something which is quite commonly done in Singapore. This helps us to get the contractor's input as the design was still being developed. At the end of 2011, we appointed Takenaka Corporation as the design and build contractor for the project, and they basically developed the design for the structure and the M&E, while Toyo Ito stayed on to develop the design. Construction started in January 2012, and 36 months later, at the end of 2014, we completed the building. The whole process took about slightly more than 4 years, which is a relatively short time in Singapore for such a project. This few slides show the construction. The site, because of its tight site and because of the tight time frame, went for a top-down construction, meaning we constructed the basement as we moved up in the superstructure. Some images of the construction. The architect wanted to express the RC fair-face concrete structure of the tower, and as such it was important that for him to maintain a constant size of column from top to the bottom. So all the columns on the edge of the building is only 1 meter by 1 meter for a 240 meter high building, and it's all the same height, same dimensions from bottom to top. To achieve this, at the bottom we have a composite steel and concrete structure. As it moves into the middle level, we went for supercrete, a grade 100 high strength concrete in order to keep the concrete the same size. And as it go higher, it became grade 80 concrete. Because of the tight site and the very short working hours and our tight time frame, the building had to go for precast construction. These are some slides of some of the construction that was done. These are the 3-story high steel stanchions erected without any guy wires or props because of some innovative clamp system from Japan. And these are the lotus joints of the precast columns and beams, in which the beams are slotted into the column and then grouted. All at the fastest time, it was a 6-day cycle per floor. Of course, building information modeling was used extensively to do things from checking on lighting levels within the office to clashing of services to even looking at how we move out equipment if we need to replace them. For this, we won the Platinum Award, which is the highest for BIM by the Building Construction Authority of Singapore. The funnel obviously was a challenge to build. It was also studied in BIM to see how the steel could be constructed in steel in the most efficient manner. In order to minimize welding, the structure was done in parts using cast iron joints and assembled on site. The company I represent, CapitaLand, has our credo as building people, building communities. And as such, it was important for us to reflect this concern for people in our building. Universal design is an important aspect, and we try to cater to as wide a range as possible of users that use the building, from the handicapped to those who are with hearing disabilities, to the visually impaired, to nursing mothers, mothers with babies in tow, older folks, on even the workers who have to maintain the plants on the planting ledge. For this, we also won an Gold Plus Award for Universal Design in Singapore. Amenities as the ground floor, we have a cafe. At the gym on the 38th level, you can look out to plants to the view beyond. And an open air pool on the 39th story, which is something which is quite sought after. Of course, a unique aspect of this building is a view from inside. Here is a view of a workspace on one of the office floors overlooking the Sky Terrace. Even though the tenants are in a high-rise tower in the middle of the city, the people working in the building can look out of their windows and see greenery and a bit of nature, which is a welcome respite in the concrete jungle around them. Tenants have cleverly taken advantage of this unique feature to create pleasant lobbies to welcome their guests. Some images of how people enjoy the sky terraces and sky forests in the building. Tall buildings are not just for the skyline, they're also for the people on the ground. Public spaces and public art are created at the three main junctions where pedestrians approach the building. The covered plaza is a welcome, shaded space in the city where people can pause, take a rest, or have a chat. Freestanding sculptures are provided at the corners to give them a sense of identity, and these are all on the theme of people, which is in line with our company's credo. Sculptors from the east and the west with sculptures done in various styles is to reflect the diversity of people that use this building. This one is a sculpture in the lobby, which is also very easily viewable from the covered plaza, covered walkway outside. From people to the city to the planet, which we all share. Our company is a signatory to the United Nations Global Compact, and as such, environmental sustainability is an important criteria for all our projects. We're happy that the tropical double skin facade is an innovative feature which has contributed to a solar road reduction, which is equivalent to about planting 235 trees. The very deep ledges of about 2 meters around the building help to allow us to have a very high window-to-wall ratio, allowing a visible light transmission of up to 61%, which is very good. And despite the high light transmission, it also has very low thermal transfer through the facade because of the tropical double skin facade design. As you have seen, the building has plants all over, and these are just some of the plants that you can see on the building. In the total area of greenery amounts to about 190% of the site area. So in other words, the greenery on the building covers 1.9 times the site area that we have replaced. And all these efforts have enabled us to get the Green Mark Platinum Award, which is the highest award for, Green Mark is like a lead version in Singapore. And of course, we have other green features like regenerative leaves, recycling of rainwater, very efficient chillers and all the rest. But those are details that I think may not be of interest at this forum. Overall, I think we have reduced the urban heat island effect through this extensive greenery on the building. Singapore aspires to be a city in the garden. And there are many policies to incentivize greenery in buildings. The sky terraces, the green facade, and the roof garden that have shaped CapitaGreen can be traced to some of the policy encouragement that has been provided under this policy. When we started on this project, we were wondering how an office building, a tall building in Singapore, could be different from one built elsewhere. In CapitaGreen, we have explored and found a solution that is unique to the context of Singapore. Look at how plants in our climate will spring up on any surface as long as they can get some sunshine and rain. Our green facade is like an organized way to capture what would or could have happened naturally in this climate. And in doing so, we hope we have provided an example of how we can maintain the connection between people and nature, even as our cities grow denser and taller. And in the process, make a difference amidst the homogeneity of our urban skyline. Thank you.